Hello and welcome back to Oh, I Didn't Know That, the show where curiosity takes the lead. I'm your host, Amber Hatfield. Hi there and welcome back to Oh, I Didn't Know That with Amber Hatfield. Last week I talked about meditation, and I'm going to continue on that topic today. In this episode, we're talking about a form of meditation that might not be as widely known in the West, but has deep roots in East Asian Buddhist tradition: silent illumination. Last week I was talking with fellow RTI host Phil Laskowski about his experience of attending silent illumination retreat here in Taiwan. So I wanted to explain a little more about what silent illumination is before continuing this episode with the second part of our conversation. Known in Chinese as Mo Zhao Chan, silent illumination is a practice from the Chan Buddhist tradition of China, which is the historical foundation of what later became Zen in Japan. Silent illumination is sometimes described as just sitting, but it's not the same as zoning out or trying to force your mind to be blank. In fact, it's the opposite of controlling or manipulating your mind. It's a method of cultivating a calm, clear, and open awareness where you allow everything to arise just as it is, without grasping onto thoughts or pushing away distractions. The term itself comes from two ideas: more, which refers to silence, inner stillness, non-reactivity, and letting go of mental chatter, and Zhao, which means illumination, referring to clarity, presence, and alert awareness of what's happening moment by moment. The approach was championed by Master Hongzhi Zhengjue in the 12th century, who taught that true realization comes not from focusing narrowly on a single object, but from resting in awareness that is vast, boundless, and naturally luminous. He wrote beautifully about the mind being like a bright mirror that reflects all things without clinging to any of them. Unlike some other meditation styles that involve specific anchors, like breath, mantras, or body scans, silent illumination encourages practitioners to simply sit and allow awareness to rest in itself. It's deceptively simple and often very challenging, especially at first, because without distractions, the noise of the mind can become loud. But over time, many find that it helps create a gentle distance from their thoughts and emotions, and a sense of deep inner stability. To find out what it's actually like to practice this kind of meditation for an extended time, I spoke with Phil, who recently completed the 7-day silent meditation retreat in Taiwan that focuses on this method. You can hear the first part of our conversation in last week's episode. Today, we talk about what the experience was like, how difficult it is to be alone with your thoughts at first, the emotions or memories that surface, and what shifts when you spend more time in complete silence. We also talk about what it feels like to return to the noise of everyday life after a week of quiet, and how silent illumination isn't just something you do on a cushion, but it's something that slowly changes the way that you meet the world. I hope you enjoy the following discussion. We pick up the conversation where I was asking Phil about the meditation style of silent illumination and what you're supposed to do. So kind of focusing on what things you can hear around you, focusing on the
if
things.
there are sounds, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that supposed to help you to not focus on the thoughts that come up in your mind, or is it?
That's a good question, but not focusing on thoughts is never the point.
Okay.
Because people think like, oh, I'm thinking too much. Like we all do. That is not the main issue. The main issue is to not give those thoughts maybe too much energy or power, and having like a little step back and a little distance between you and thoughts. Then over time, once you do that, like it will just kind of slow down and become less and less. So the point is never like I sit down and my mind is blank. That's almost never gonna happen. It's just the people who do it for years, and you see them like monks or people who are very good at it. They just done it so long that their thoughts are maybe less frequent and they don't have as much power. So they'll see it as a thought, brush it over, just like kind of it leaves, and then continue.
Right, yeah. Well, I guess it kind of sounds like, because I'm not really clear on the different kinds of meditation so much, but I know a little bit about mindfulness or mindfulness meditation, or what I've tried to do before in therapy and things like that, where you have to be almost separate from yourself. So you let the things come, but then you're kind of an observer as well at the same times. You almost put yourself outside of yourself to observe what's coming up. So if certain thoughts are coming up, you're also split and you're kind of observing them and thinking and seeing that's a thought coming up. And that thought can just go away, and separating and creating a distance between yourself and your thoughts. Is that kind of what you're describing?
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, okay.
Now that you mentioned mindfulness, because I think it's nice to explain that what you do on the cushion, the sitting, is the practice what you take with you to daily life. Because, you know, anytime you're facing a problem, an argument, an anger, sad emotion, like, you're not going to stop everything in the middle of conversation and just go sit. Like, the whole point is that what you do there on the cushion should transfer and transpose into your daily life and increase that mindfulness muscle. So you'll be able to automatically, almost, I would say, catch yourself, like, hey, I'm thinking this, hey, I'm feeling this, let's take a little step back.
Yeah. So do you find these retreats that you've done have helped you do that over time? Like, do you feel now as if you're able to kind of separate yourself in the moment? For example, you're at work and you're feeling stressed, and then you can see, I'm feeling stressed right now, and you can kind of separate yourself from your feelings in the moment? Or is that still very much a work in progress?
It's always work in progress, but definitely if I were to compare it to years before, like, it shows results. Like, I used to be a different person. If you ask my friends who know me for maybe a long time, like, you're less like, you bicker about stuff, maybe, like, less stressed about things. Like, it's hard to compare yourself with others, right? Because some people are just naturally like this, some people are like this, but there's definitely a way you can work your way up to, like, there's certain like level standard that you can improve. So I would say definitely helped in many ways. But it's not like now you done retreats and there's no anger that can get to you. It doesn't work that way, because if you keep up with your daily practice, it's like, I don't know, stretching, you know, like, you stretch every day, you just feel good. You don't stretch for a week, you will have a little tightness, and then you can't do as many movements as, like, so that's kind of a little equivalent.
Yeah. And could you talk about if anything kind of came up for you, like, emotionally while you were doing the retreat, or like personal things that you would share?
I feel like this one was kind of mild in terms of, it wasn't very like breakthrough or anything too heavy. I feel like it was pretty smooth, except for the first 2 days, because those are the hardest. Like, that's when you're like, what am I doing here? Why did I sign up? Like, I can do so many things in 7 days. Like, why would I even come here? Because, you know, you're supposed to sleep at 10. And if you don't sleep at 10 every day, like, you're like, it doesn't just happen. So the next day you're tired. You have to wake up at 4. Like, your whole regime is just disrupted. And then you're having these thoughts. And over time, the third day, fourth day, it just calms down. And you're like, oh, I'm actually feeling great. Like, now I know why I did it. But to answer your questions, in this one, no, I just kind of went in a lot of past memories. Like, I didn't focus too much on future or what's happening. I didn't focus too much on my situation now in life. But this one was specifically of, like, I thought about a lot about my years when I was in college, high school exchange, a lot of friends that I met, past relationship. Like, I don't know, this one was the theme of today's retreat. Specifically, like, and the one I had before, maybe the 10-day, I remember there was this very powerful emotion, like, moment where I kind of thought about the death of my family. You just kind of entertain the idea, like, it's gonna happen at some point, and it just felt so real at that point, and you just kind of start, like, not weeping, but you tear up. And that just felt like, wow, like, this experience can, because you're so focused, you're so not distracted, that whatever appears in your awareness will just be magnified, you know, because usually whatever you watch here, you see something sad, you can just scroll, you can just turn around and talk to someone. It's like just doesn't have that much power over you. But yeah, so that one was like the very personal, strong thing.
Oh, okay. Interesting. How did you feel afterwards? You know, when you haven't spoken for a whole week, you haven't said any words. Do you feel good being able to speak again? Is it kind of like, oh, I can speak again? Or do you kind of feel like you almost don't want to? Or
the second one, you kind of realize how much value and power words carry. And you just don't want to kind of like waste it and use it. So you really find out like how little we need to communicate our way through the day. And then once you start talking, it's like a whole different, I don't want to sound too weird, but like whole different dimension takes over the conversation, and you don't focus on like the inner intuition or something, like the feeling. You kind of go up in your head too much, and then you're just analyzing whatever the person says. It becomes like chess without us noticing that, but it really is like that sometimes. So it felt good to talk to my roommates, because if you think about it, for 7 days I have not seen them from a profile view. I had no idea how they look like, because you're not supposed to make eye contact, right?
Oh, you mean from a face-to-face?
Face-to-face.
Okay.
So this was the first time I could talk to them, and you kind of develop a little story to them, like you give them a little character, because you don't know what they sound like. You don't know how they really, really look like. Like you have the image of their head, because I was sitting behind them, so you know how they look in their sitting position. You know what clothes they wear, kind of like for your side eye. But you finally hear them speak, and you're like, oh wow, this is the person I've been sleeping next to for the past 7 days. So that was interesting. But then you feel overwhelmed because the conversation happens. You're still there, so you're like milking the afterglow, so you're feeling great. But going to the city is kind of painful. There's so many noises, cars, billboards, lights, people. It's a lot.
Yeah. I want to talk about that in a second, but I want to just talk about something that you just said, because you said something about your intuition or something, and then your head. And as you were saying it made me really interested in what you were talking about. So you kind of felt as if when you're not speaking to people, or when you're doing this meditation consistently, there's the voices that your personal inside voices are coming from a different place, rather than like a kind of overthinking in your head place. Or I'm trying to understand what you mean by that.
Might be. We had this conversation, the two of us, before. Probably there's like a little body intelligence, let's say. I don't know what to call it. Because if there's no words, you're kind of in like a primal state of you just work what you see and what you hear, right? Without any words. So you don't make any concepts. You kind of rely on feelings. So like a dog or a cat, like a person comes into the room, I kind of like observe their emotion, their vibe, their energy they're projecting, and then you kind of pick up on that, you know? And I feel like that feeling, if you really, really, really learn to just do that, it could be very precise. But then words take over, and you're just like, oh, this person's funny, so that means they're a good person. Or like, oh, this person's not sad because they're laughing. So, you know, the first initial might be that, and then the words come in, and they kind of sometimes confirm what you're thinking, and sometimes be like, oh, it's not like...
Yeah, okay. This is really interesting. I feel like even just thinking about this now is giving me a different perception of life or something. Yeah. Because I don't think I've ever done that before, because I've never done a retreat, so I've never been silent for that amount of time. You
don't have to, even if you meet someone for the first time. It really happens, because you have no idea how they are, you know? What we know, like you see each other every day, and you're just like, oh, that's Phil, oh, that's Amber, like I know what they are. But if you meet the person for the very first time and they don't speak, try to play around with that, like just figure them out.
So interesting. Okay, so you just talked a little bit about coming back to the city and all the sounds and everything. How did that feel? You said it was really overwhelming. Yeah. Do you almost feel like, oh, I can't take this. This is like kind of claustrophobic, or what's the feelings?
Not that bad, because you still are in the very good state of like calmness, peace and all that. So you're able to deal with it, right? You won't be as annoyed, like there's traffic. You'll be like, there's traffic, I'm just going to take longer. So you're very well equipped to deal with everything. But still, it feels like there was much calmer. Like once you have the conditions, it's way easier to just be at peace. It's just because there you're really cultivating the mind in the best possible conditions. Whereas in the city, it's tough. It's tougher, definitely, because you have all the people, you have to deal with a lot of things you have to do there. You don't have any worries. You don't have any things that you need to take care of. So overwhelming would be the right word. And then you don't want to look at your phone, because you haven't had it for 7 days. So you're afraid, like you turn it on and there's going to be too many things happening. So that's definitely overwhelming. But you're also happy to be back. Like I'm happy to get back to my normal life. Like,
do you feel like you would do it again? And do you feel like every time you do one, it furthers you? So like now, how long do you kind of have to wait before you feel like that glow has somehow worn off, and you think, I think I need to do that again now. I think I need to go and retreat to silence again for a while. Kind of how long does that last you, and when do you need to do it again?
Very good question. When I came out, I was definitely like, not anytime soon. Thinking about all the pain and nights where you have to like wake up early and all that. I feel like this one that I did was kind of just something told me like it's time. It's been a while. So I can't give you like a precise date. It's just when you feel like I need a little break from everything, I feel like that's a nice break to take. Maybe for some would be holiday in Hawaii, but that one's cheaper. Every retreat is definitely different because different condition, different circumstances. You're at different age, so you might understand things differently. Depends how well you sleep there, what kind of people you're surrounded with, right? So it's hard to compare. Like when I was 20 and I went to one, like was it better than this one? It's so hard to say. Like you can't. It's impossible. But I would say that you definitely gain something from each one of them for sure. So not anytime soon.
Not anytime soon. Okay.
Maybe I would like to share about like some people being there, because I remember I went to a different one with different organizations, and maybe it's just insane because some people have the time and make it into their like a really like a hobby. Like they go to retreats all over the world. Like they go a couple times a year. Like there was this guy in front who has been to 40 retreats at least. And that was back then when it was 10 days, 40 10-day retreats. And then he had some volunteering experiences. That guy could sit through 1.5 hours without moving, like completely still, through the next break that we had to like get water, bathroom, continue throughout the session, another session like 40 minutes without moving. And I don't know if you guys realize how difficult this is. It's just insanely difficult to do what he did. So you kind of have him, you see what he's capable of, and you're like, this guy's closest to Buddha. Like he's getting enlightenment anytime soon. Like it's insane. But then you see him outside of the cushion and you just feel like he's such a normal person. Like he's nowhere heightened, like he's nowhere on the pedestal. He's not anyhow like special. Like you don't feel anything. He's just very normal, humble, peaceful, cheerful, happy person. So I feel like you don't really need to be very scientifically based or to have too many proofs. You just look at that dude and be like, if he has done this many retreats and is this person, it must be working. It's like a very anecdotal experience, but you see him and you're like, he's the proof. Just being like, this person feels like he is very composed, is the word, equipped to deal with whatever life throws at him. Even though you don't see it, but you just feel it from the interaction. Like he just feels like a very genuinely happy and peaceful person. Daily meditation, just like anything else, stick to it. Find those 5-7 minutes. Just sit down, pick a method, either guided meditation on YouTube or somewhere, or just focus on your breath, or just have a cup of tea without any distraction, like whatever you feel like you need to do right now, wait 10 minutes. It's pretty much like a most simplest, but it will get you a long way in the long run.
That's all for this week's episode of Oh, I Didn't Know That. I hope it's inspired you to get to the cushion and go sit down and take some time to meditate. I'll see you in next week's episode. Bye for now.